Hello there. Long time no see. How's everyone doing? I'm Darth Paradigm. I'm gonna take a few minutes to talk about this hilt right here. This is the General Leia V2. I have not reviewed the General Leia V1 because unfortunately it was kind of a hot mess. And I I prefer not to review things that I would predominantly have negative things to say about. I'd rather focus on the positive, and there just wasn't enough positive about my my V1 to really make me feel comfortable doing a review. But the V2, this thing's beautiful. And no, I did not get this particular saber from Custom Darkwolf Sabers, although I probably would have preferred to have done. But let's just say that I acquired it, and that should be enough for you guys. So this hilt clocks in at 10.5 inches long. It's pretty much the same size as the V1. I will do I'll do a comparison at some point, so rest assured, I will not skimp out. This is the in-hilt LED version. Comes with the standard soundboard with the 6 fonts. Comes with the different features that you should be familiar if you've seen any of my reviews on the Custom Darkwolf Sabers. They all kind of work similarly. They have sort of a it cycles through the colors, the full color palette. So there's a way to do that. I'm really not going to cover the features of the saber too much. I'm going to focus more on the aesthetics of this thing. But other than that, like I said, it has full RGB color changing. It has 6 built-in sound fonts. Has a low volume, high volume mute, and it also has some blade effects, pulse, stable, and unstable. The thing that makes this particular hilt different from the V1 is the fact that the emitter is a different design. It actually has windows. And the strange thing, if this isn't blurring out on me, because it's such a shallow, being such a shallow blade holder, being that this is a thin neck saber, there's really not much room to work with. The LEDs are actually right here. They're right in this area. So when you turn the saber on, you get kind of this kaleidoscope of color that you can see through the windows coming out of the sides of the LEDs, which isn't really that bad. It's actually kind of a I accept that as sort of the personality of the saber, and it's an interesting interesting aspect. So the blade only goes to about there, okay, and there's a blade retention screw here and here. So there's one on this side and one on this side. This came with a 36-inch blade, which I have cut down to 32. As you probably know by now, or you should know, I find 36-inch blades, especially in a thin neck saber, to be far too front heavy and unwieldy, and it's not a size blade that I prefer to have installed into my sabers. I much prefer a 32 inch. It's much more balanced. Here's the front of the blade holder. You can see these little there's these little dimples. On the other side of the blade holder, you can see there's sort of a little, I'm not sure what you'd call them, sort of, I'm trying to remember my art history, what they used to call these on the sides of cathedrals. I can't remember right now. I'm just going to call them stanchions. That's not the right word, but so it kind of gives the blade holder added support when it makes contact with the thin neck. You have the little middle portion here, which is kind of screwed in, but it's not moving currently. It's kind of sort of fixed in there. And the rest of it is just sort of like wonderful little details. Your main choke point here, which you really can't actually hold it here because you're often coming into contact with the switch and making the saber do things. So you kind of end up holding it up by the neck or kind of just before the switch section. And you can hold it here, but you're not really going to be doing much in the way of spinning if you do that, because like I said, you're going to be hitting this switch section. It's really quite sensitive. So it's an unfortunate placement for the switch, but it's not a deal breaker. You can still use this saber freely without too much hindrance. You just have to be aware of the limitations. One of the things that they have added from the V1 to the V2 are these little nubs right here. And they've also added some more coloration, some more, I don't know if it's like anodization or whatever it's called in here. The handle is very similar. The thing with the V1 is it was covered in blemishes. Now, other than the fact that my V2 is covered in fingerprints, because this is the ultimate fingerprint magnet. And I just don't care. I really don't care. It's still a beautiful saber, even with fingerprints all over it. So just deal with it. I'm not that fussy. But the V1, it had blemishes, like stains. Like it had stains on the pommel, stains in this area, stains. It was just covered in stains. There was nothing I could do about it. It wouldn't clean up. I didn't want to use a more powerful solution because I feared damaging the finish more than it already was damaged. So you'll see that when I do my comparison video. The other thing is, and I'm going to show this to you now. One of the, actually, so as you can see, that does unscrew. Very much like the 89 Sabers Obi-Wan or Corbanth, which I actually have. So I have some experience in that regard. Let's see if I can get this to come undone. The threading's a little bit tight. I'm gonna probably get in there with some kind of silicone sprayer or something else to sort of clean and lubricate it, because that was one of the issues with my V1, was that the threading sort of seized up on me, and it was a real chore trying to take the saber apart. I had to get in there with WD-40 and really work that problem. It was just kind of a nightmare help. But on this one, there's a very, very lovely chassis. Here's your soundboard right here. Your 18650 lithium-ion battery. Now, in order to recharge the saber, you actually have to take the handle off, remove the battery, recharge it separately from the saber. There's no in-hilt charging on this particular model. Which is unfortunate, but because it's an in-hilt LED, it doesn't really use too much power, and you can usually get several hours of usage out of this thing before needing to recharge it. Now, the speaker is much improved, and when I finally turn this thing on, you're gonna be amazed at how loud this thing is. It's ridiculous. One of the flaws of having a speaker this good on a saber such as this is that it's either an overloading with the board to some degree, causes the accelerometer to kind of get a little bit hyperactive, but I think it's really just the fact that the speaker's so loud and it vibrates so much that it really triggers the accelerometer, and you'll find that the accelerometer is really sensitive, and it'll kind of lose its mind a little bit while you're wielding the saber. So I tend to use this on the lower volume setting, but it's still kind of an issue regardless of which setting you use. So here's the handle. Okay, and it also comes apart at this point, so you can see all that action. The pommel has a closed-ended design with little vents on the side, so the saber's even more loud than it seems. Side venting is, I think, the best approach to venting sound on a saber, so I really do appreciate that. Here's the other issue that I had with the V1. See how this is kind of nicely secured in the hilt? The chassis is secured in the hilt. On the V1 when I received it, it was loose, and I had to get in there and figure out exactly how it needed to be connected. But it just really wasn't a very good design. So that's kind of one of the issues that was plaguing that hilt. So I'll have to be very careful here. Again, this is going to have to be probably lubricated and real soon, otherwise it can start causing some problems. All right, so we get to the handle, and the handle alternates between silver and kind of a copper color. It's very lovely. The saber came with a little clip that you can attach somewhere. As you can see, I haven't actually attached it. It's kind of a belt clip. I think I might kind of use a screw to insert into one of these points. I'm not 100% certain. But I probably won't use that because, as you can see, this has a D-clip. So there's the pommel, which I already kind of showed you already. And it's a wispy little D-clip. It's not very substantial, but the saber is actually light enough, I don't know if you can see it, that you don't have to worry about this D-clip kind of breaking. It's, you know, once you take the blade out, you shouldn't really have any issues with this breaking or bending, unless some fool comes up and tries to grab your saber off of you, in which case I would assume that you would just use the force to kind of block them and send them flying. You know, I mean, what else are you gonna do, really? So that's pretty much the hilt in a nutshell. So we got this inlaid pearlescent kind of feature here. One of the things that you cannot do is, or the saber doesn't have, is this doesn't light up. Because, you know, setting the colors and whatnot is a timing thing. You're supposed to hold this for 2 seconds, and then you hit and you hold the button to change the colors. I actually can kind of do that now just because I have so many I have so many Crimson Dawn sabers with the pulses. I've kind of gotten the timing has kind of like ingrained itself into my brain, so I can sort of kind of just visually, I kind of see in my mind's eye the pulses that aren't there, and I can actually do the color changing. I'm not gonna do it here because I won't be able to do it in front of you guys. I just won't. But this works pretty much the same exact way as all the other Crimson Dawn sabers and everything else that you're going to get from Custom Darkwolf Sabers. That isn't sort of a, you know, a Profi board, you know, or a NeoPixel or something like that. But let's just hold this button and we can get to turn on. So you can hear how loud and bassy this is. This is a very substantially loud saber. And this is, I think it's on the lower setting, if I'm not mistaken. Let's find out.
No sound.
So that's low sound. And let's turn this thing on. Oh, that was no sound. Alright. Okay, let's try this again.
Loud sound.
Loud sound. Okay, let's try loud sound. So undoubtedly, you must have noticed how this thing started to really flip out. It'll do that. It's very loud, and that's just the net result of a saber being so loud.
Softest sound.
So this is softest sound. It's a lot more manageable. It's still plenty loud, but not as hyperactive. You can see the outside of the LEDs, because I have this set to kind of a blue. Oh, there it goes. It's kind of flipping out, but it's going to do that. It's inherent with this saber. I don't think it's a technical problem. It's just the way it's kind of overachieving in a way. So I think I'm not sure. I think I might have this set to the Ben Solo font, and as you can see, I've got it set to kind of a nice blue, sort of emulates the blue from Leia's saber from whatever the name of the last movie was. I can't remember right now. I'm really, really tired. Forgive me for that. See, where was I? Like I said, you can do full RGB color changing. I'm not really going to do that because I have this set to a color that I like. I can show you the basic font choices, which you should be familiar with by now.
You have something I want.
Moff Gideon from Mandalorian.
I'm Cal Kestis.
Cal from Fallen Order.
Ben Solo.
Ben Solo.
That lightsaber was Luke's.
Whatever her name is. I actually like her character. It was drastically underutilized, especially in The Last Jedi.
The Force is with you, young Skywalker. But you are not a Jedi yet.
So the last font was the Rey font. This is the Luke font. They sound pretty much identical to me. That's a nice hum, though. Come on now. Oh, that doesn't work. Wow. The Luke font actually sounds really good on this. I didn't know. I haven't tried it.
I've been waiting for this day for a long time.
And Kylo. So the blade does shimmy around in here a bit, so beware of that. I don't think this is the ideal saber for dueling. This is really meant to be kind of a cosplay slash maybe a bit of a shelf queen. So just be aware of that. If you're gonna duel with this thing, you're probably gonna have issues with the blade coming out at some point. So I really wouldn't do it, to be perfectly honest. Now I'm going to reset this thing back to that Luke font because I like the way this thing sounded.
You have something I want.
And then I'm going to power it down. I'm going to show you the best way to power it down.
I'm Cal Kestis. Ben Solo.
That lightsaber was Luke's.
The Force is with you, young Skywalker. But you are not a Jedi yet.
So you're probably noticing how much less tinny this speaker sounds. All the voices sound really, really clear and very bassy and just sort of pronounced. They gone as the tinniness of the older speakers. You know, on the V1 it sounds very, very, you know, as you would expect from you know, from one of these sabers. It's just sort of like the sound quality isn't that great. So what you want to do when you're powering down the sabers, you actually want to turn the saber on. That hum sounds really good. I had no idea how good that was going to sound. Wow, I like that. Anyway, so with the saber on, you just kind of hold the button. through the blade retraction, and just keep holding it until you hear the power down mode or the deep sleep mode or whatever.
Resistance is dead. The war is over.
So now your saber's in deep sleep mode, and it's gonna conserve power and drain the battery a lot slower. And the benefit of doing it that way is when you turn the saber on the next time, it will be on the font that you left it on. So that's the ideal way to do it, because if you retract the blade and then you power down the saber, it will actually set it to the next font in the group, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. So anyway, so yeah, there you go. That's the General Leia V2. I didn't talk about the blade. The blade quality is quite good. It's diffused. It only has maybe 2 or 3 layers of diffusing film in here, but it has kind of a nice little trans white effect. It has a bullet tip. They use pins to hold the tip on, so this isn't gonna come flying off. If you do decide to do it with it, at least the blade's gonna hold up. If anything, it's gonna come flying out right here. And yeah, so that's it. That's the General Leia V2, and I would say this is a considerable improvement, and in my opinion, over the V1. The finish is pristine. It's perfect, other than the threading issues that are probably going to happen with just about any saber. So it could use some lubricant in this area here. So I'm going to get in there with some silicone lubricant and take care of that, because I don't want anything to seize up, because that is just a complete pain in the butt. Yeah, there you go. So that pretty much wraps up this review, and I hope that you enjoy what you saw. And please help me out, help a guy out, help a fellow Sith Lord out. I'm almost at 1,000. Can you believe it? I can't believe I'm almost at 1,000. I have no idea how that happened. I don't know. You guys are just very forgiving of my my content, and for some reason you really seem to enjoy it. For the most part, every once in a while I get a sayer of nay, someone that doesn't really care much for it, but most of you do. So I appreciate you guys. But regardless, like or dislike the video, whatever's required at this juncture. And yeah, I appreciate you tuning in and watching. And all I have to say at this point is, may the Force be with you. And I will catch you in the next video. And let me see if I can. There we go. You take care now, and have a fine rest of the week. Bye.